So what we find in this evolutionary models of nature, on the level of evolution of consciousness, values of the evolution is different, completely different. And each level has its own philosophy. That philosophy is irrelevant on a different level, completely irrelevant. And the reality of one level of consciousness belongs to that level of consciousness alone. It has nothing to do with the other level of consciousness. Like the philosophy of sleep, the reality of sleep, objectivity and subjectivity of sleep. These values have nothing to do with the state of dream consciousness, or waking state of consciousness, or transcendental consciousness, or cosmic consciousness, or unity consciousness. All these values are completely different in different states of consciousness with their specified values of principles and experiences. So the understanding and experiences. That is why we can't think of only one philosophy. We must be open to different philosophies, different principles guiding different levels of understandings, different levels of experiences. So we can each level of understanding, each level of consciousness has its own principles which guides the activity and the experiential values in that consciousness. In unity consciousness, one lives wholeness of life. As if the wholeness moves, everything in terms of myself. No fears, because no differences, nothing, no ups and downs, evenness, wholeness. It's a state of consciousness. And in that state, unmanifest is unmanifest. It has never become anything, it has never changed. Like the sap, even when it appears to be green, but when we look into the depth of green, what we find is every grain of green is made of the colorless. At one level where the colorless sap is predominant, on that level the difference in the green and the red and the flat and the round, these differences don't exist. On another level, differences are very pronounced. And when the differences are very pronounced, then the philosophy or the principles of how they came about, how green sprang from the colorless, how red sprang from the colorless, the whole history comes along. In the field of differences, the origin is accounted for. In the field of differences, the origin of all differences is that non-differentiated state of life from where everything begins. Because the cause of difference can only be non-difference. The cause of diversity can only be unity. Very, very obvious. But all these philosophies of the origin of diversity from unity, this has no meaning in this state of unity consciousness where nothing happened ever. These things have no meaning in the sleep state of consciousness. Nothing is there to it. In the dream state of consciousness, anything could happen. So these, with this knowledge of this graphic knowledge of things experientially and theoretically being different in different states of consciousness. Once we have this vision, then we feel satisfied. This is the only end point of the inquiry. Inquiries will always be there in every state of consciousness. And once we have that, yes, this is this, this is this, this is this, this is, then the satisfaction comes. And then one doesn't feel that one is ignorant about things. An overall fulfillment in life. And this is the gift of knowledge. This is we would say, the fruit of all knowledge. That in whatever state of consciousness one is, one has theories, experiences in that state differently. And unless one has the experience of all states of consciousness, inquiries will always continue, life will always remain a seeker. And in seeking, one is not established in fulfillment.